Conversation that's happening, and it's been happening over the weekend, and we're joined by Morara Kebaso, who's a lawyer and who is a civic educator, who we know him. He's been going around the country looking at those projects that started and stalled and asking questions around them. Ahead of this publicized event on Friday, which was the public participation for the removal by impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, people knew that this is going to happen. People turned up in the various 47 centers across the country. It appears that there was sort of a uniform message of some were saying, yes, Rigathi must go. Others are saying, if Rigathi must go, why don't they both go? You're saying that's a message that you heard as well, Morara.
Yes,
Why?
I'm actually one of the pioneers of that message. Because that message actually, before it even went out to the public, it began quite a while ago. Me and my team were seated together and we were asking ourselves, this Gachagua impeachment, it is diverting the Kenyans' attention from the main issues. It's diverting Kenyans' attention from SHIF. It's diverting from university funding models, diverting from issues of corruption and many other issues. And we asked ourselves, what do we do? We realized first we cannot avoid the conversation. Much as we didn't think of it as important, we realized we can't avoid it because it is an emotional issue. It's an issue of public importance, and it's an issue that is going to be the one that will carry the headlines on newspapers and on TV. So we decided then we have to join the conversation. But when we join the conversation, what is going to be our position as young people who would like to see change in our country? And we realized that, one, we need to detribalize. We need to completely detribalize the issue of accountability. Because until when we began our agitation for impeach both, there was this feeling that the deputy president was being pursued or being attacked as a Kikuyu and as a person from Mount Kenya. It became a Mount Kenya issue that, you see, this is an attack against Kikuyus. And the deputy president was beginning to gain a lot of sympathy from the Mount Kenya region, from people who feel like we supported President William Ruto, we voted to the last man, and here he is attacking our guy. Then we said, okay, how do we clear the noise? Because there's too much noise, there's too much smoke, and when there's too much smog and smoke, people cannot see through the real issues. We said, let us impeach both of them. So that when we say impeach both, there are people who will now start seeing this for what it is. They realize that this is neither a Kikuyu issue or a Kalenjin issue. This is an issue of accountability. Because when you say impeach both, essentially what you're saying is both of them are corrupt. And both of them are failed Kenyans. Gachagua may be corrupt, may be tribal by words, but the Honorable William Ruto, our president, is tribal by actions, beginning with how he does his state appointments and division of even resources. So that is how we began the impeach both. And now it has become bigger than me, bigger than everybody else. It is being spoken all over the country, including in the regions where these leaders come from. You could hear sentiments from Kericho, Bomet, Nandi, Uasin Gishu. People all over are saying, well, if they have to go, let them go, both of them. In any case, they were elected together. They should go together. That has always been my position, and it will continue to be my position. Not everybody agrees with that position. Some feel that Honorable Gachagua should go alone. Even in my own family, where I come from, this is a very divisive issue. Majority of Kenyans are for impeach both, but there are a few Kenyans who feel one should be impeached first.
Why?
Even in my own family. Yeah, one of my family members, Wakili Morara, is actually a lawyer for the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, and his position is that do not impeach Rigathi Gachagua. But you see, a lawyer is just doing his job. But my position, and which is the position of most of the Kenyans, is that we impeach both of them.
How do you know it's the position of most of the Kenyans?
You just do a rough analysis. This is not informed by a poll that I have done, but rather by just observation. You know, the media has been doing random interviews where they give the microphone to random people, and the random people say what they feel. And if you've been keenly watching through those interviews, as I have been watching, then you realize that the message has been impeach both of them.
But they don't downplay your method of data collection. Observation is a primary source of data collection.
It begins there.
Yes, in fact, they are observational studies. They are scientific studies for that matter.
Yes.
As for what you refer to as random, that is also a perfect way of gathering information, which means someone can say, you didn't select, you didn't predetermine, you randomly selected. Now, if you randomly select, and that is the response that you say you have garnered, there is credence to it. It is not something that you can ignore.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think the members of parliament had a different opinion. The members of parliament had a predetermined opinion when they were going for public participation. And I believe our members of parliament have lost the true understanding of what public participation is. The members of parliament in Kenya wameacha kuwa wajumbe. Because mjumbe comes from the word ujumbe. And the work of mjumbe ni kutoa ujumbe ambayo imetoka kwa wananchi kupeleka kwa bunge. Bunge ya ujumbe ambayo imeletwa na wajumbe. But now our members of parliament are bringing ujumbe to the people. All right? They've reversed the role. They are the ones informing the public rather than the public informing them. They forgot that they were elected to represent the public, and that the public is the one that they are representing in parliament.
You do know that when you represent the public, there's the element of accountability that comes along with it. And if you look at those whom we refer to as elected leaders, they are loath to any form of accountability, completely loath to it. They abrogated that particular function a long time ago. They replaced it with impunity, meaning, as you see with great clarity, they will decide what they want to do and they expect you, the electorate, to follow. That is how our elected leaders have fashioned themselves over time. And the only time when they were shaken out of this particular mental condition that they have is during the Gen Zs, when the Gen Zs invaded parliament. That's when they actually got shaken. Now, in my mind, they seem to think that it is over. I don't think they understand that it has actually just begun. This thing is far from over.
You see, this is City together with Latif. This is no longer a Gen Z issue, as you've correctly observed. The Gen Z may have begun it, but the public, millennials, Generation X's, and all other people have said these children are right. Whatever they are saying is true. And it has been picked up by the rest of the nation. So if there is ever going to be an Occupy Parliament Season 2, it will not just be Gen Zs. It will be Kenyans. And it will be dangerous. This week, I'm beginning a campaign. And the campaign is for reconstitution of IEBC, because we want to recall members of parliament because they no longer represent the voice of the people. And it's going to be serious, this IEBC campaign, reconstitution, because we are stuck. We are stuck with an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship with our members of parliament who don't care. Sometimes they even apologize. Yeah? The member of parliament for Manyata even apologized for voting yes. But do they learn? They don't. Why? Because they don't care. This is not part of their interest. Their interest is that the president has allowed them to register enough companies to do business with the government. Everybody is on a self-enrichment drive. If they are going to question the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua on how he acquired all this wealth, I don't defend him. In fact, personally, I think impeachment of the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is good riddance. It's good riddance for everyone. Because some people in the mountain were beginning to say Honorable Rigathi Gachagua for president. And you know the mountain is rich with votes. And those votes can actually be used to create a very strong presidential candidate. And if that presidential candidate is the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, then it is jumping right from the frying pan into the fire. It is my personal belief that the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is a worse leader than even Honorable William Ruto in terms of what he stands for, what he believes in, his history of corruption, and everything else. So I think he should be impeached, all right? The only problem is that the people impeaching him also deserve to be impeached. We have members of parliament who have acquired enormous, amazing amount of wealth that is so crazy. You cannot even understand how they made it. They are accusing him of acquiring 5.2 billion. Why are we not asking the Honorable Didmas Baraza what is the cost of a helicopter? What are his known sources of income? Is he an athlete? Is he a musician? Does he produce art? Where did he afford to buy a helicopter? Does he have a cement manufacturing company? What industry does he run? Why are we not asking the Honorable, Kimani Ichung'wah how he managed to buy a Mercedes G-Wagon, which cost 14 million? All right? He may afford it, but at least he should explain it, isn't it? So recently I was at Endarasha for the service for these children that died in fire. The Honorable Ndindi Nyoro landed with a red helicopter. Yeah, should be able to be accountable to the public and say, if the helicopter his or he hired it. And if he hired it, how many times this month has he hired a helicopter and for how many hours? And how did he afford to pay 250,000 per hour for all those hours vis-a-vis his salary? Okay, these members of parliament, they themselves, they've acquired wealth in ways, everything they're accusing the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua of doing, they have done it themselves. But because it's a political process, they may push with it and finish with it. Now we need to find a way to also impeach the impeacher. Yeah, we need to find a way to impeach the impeacher.
I actually find the deputy president a fairly honest man. That is my honest opinion. His sin is he says things which politically are clear one should not say. He says what people think, what people do, he says it. Now, some may say it is naive, some may say he shouldn't say it so, but there are very few things I can say the deputy president has lied about. Very few. Lying, outright lying, there are very, very few. In fact, when I say few, it means there may be some I haven't caught of, but I find the deputy president perhaps a little too honest for his own good. Because which politician, which leader does not look after the interest of the people? People here being close friends and those who come from his neck of the woods. Who doesn't do that?
His vote block.
Yes, who doesn't? This being Kenyan doesn't mean that you don't look after people who are close to you. Now, so when someone declares it in the manner that he declares it, which people find unpalatable, he is speaking a simple truth that each and every politician in this country, past, present, and the future, practice.
In fact, that's how they're known, the politicians.
Yes. How else are people known?
The reason I think he should be impeached is because when you are a deputy, just deputize. Please, just deputize the president. You may be a leader in your own right, but you're a deputy president. Can you kindly deputize the president? Personally, I think if we ever get another chance to do a referendum to amend the constitution, I think the deputy president should be appointed by the president. And this is good for the stability of the nation. You see, right now, it may look okay because we have a dishonest president. Therefore, it may look okay when the deputy president is actually saying whatever he's saying. But remember, there is a law about the National Secrets and Act, which actually prevents him from revealing information that shall come to his knowledge, yes, by virtue of his office. Secondly, when you are a deputy to someone and you contradict them in any organization, even if it's, forget government, even if it is in the company Standard Media Group, and you have a deputy that is, contradicting your position, The problem is that it risks the stability and progress of the company. And the deputy could be right, but these are things that you only say in confidence. If you failed to earn the confidence of the president, my prescription would be, don't take your outbursts to the public. Do not show your disregard or disappointment with the president in open public, or vilify state officers like the director of the director of intelligence, or a judge, Esther Maina. Don't do that. Just do this. Be dissatisfied with the government, honorably resign, become a politician, then now speak about your issues freely. But for as long as you are in a system, a command structure that is a presidency, where this is the executive, our boss is the president, I'm the deputy president, we have cabinet ministers, then you are consistently, without fail, contradicting the position of the president and undermining his authority. I don't like Honorable William Ruto myself, but I think there should be respect for the office of the president, even for us who will come as presidents, Morara, so that we retain Morara, that respect.
Where does contradiction equal disrespect?
Because you have a role, and that role is to deputize. Let me give a good example. I have a wife at home. If I give a position to my children and my wife disagrees with me right in front of the children, then what is that?
Make it a debate. Tell the children, what do you think? This is what your mother says, this is what I think. Let's make this a family discussion. What do you think? There's a reason why I'm giving you this. Yes, make it a family discussion.
Open it up.
Yes, don't take an offense. Your children will learn that they have an accommodating father and they have parents who have differing views, and they allow us to actually express ours.
Because that is the truth.
Yes.
That is the nature. It cannot be that what the head thinks is what the deputy will also think.
But the other thing is that this debate that City is talking about should not be a debate in public, right? We should not, the presidency should not argue in public. They should come up with solutions in public. By the time they show up in the public, it should be to give a solution after the debate. So this debate is not the kind of debate where you go to Mombasa, to State House, then you speak something against the president in Nairobi. If you actually want to have that debate in the boardroom of the president, debate it fully. If the president insists on his way of doing things, please let every member of the team, this is team playing, and this is a team leader. Let everybody fall behind the decision of the president. So that if the decision is wrong, munaanguka nayo mkiwa wote.
You know why that won't happen? This same president did exactly what his deputy is doing when he was a deputy. Exact. In fact, copy in color, paste. In color still. Okay?
Okay, City, do two wrongs make a right?
No. There's a point I'm making here, and I'm not actually disagreeing with you. I'm actually giving you a different perspective to this particular matter. If you have a leadership and you perform your duties in a particular way, you are setting in motion a trend. Now, one may not see it, but that's what you are doing. Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the first vice president of this particular country, disagreed with the president. It was not in public. It became public when the president went to Kisumu to open what we call the Russian hospital, the New Nyanza General Hospital. The spot, it was open. There was a give and take. But before then, they just disagreed. The man left and he said, look, this is not quite what we agreed on. Disagreed, decided to form his own party, went into opposition. Okay? Now, we walk a very, very dangerous tightrope when you have a situation where it is wrong to disagree with those in leadership. Because if you take the thread that the president cannot be disagreed with, any tin pot individual who has authority will take the cue that they cannot be disagreed with.
Yeah, that's encouraging dictatorship.
Yes. The reason I don't agree with Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is because he's trying to take my job. Everybody has their job. Let them do their job. So the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua should not take my job.
Which is?
My job, together with other Kenyans, is that we've presumed the office of the opposition. We are the opposition. So when he becomes the opposition within government, what is he doing? His job is to give us information. You see, if indeed the Deputy President is very honest and means well for Kenya, how much has he told us about Adani? Nothing at all. How much has he told us about Apiero and the 104 billion at the Ministry of Health to create a health system? Because he is within the system. He's a second in command. If anybody should know, he should know more than any other person except the president himself, okay? So I continue to say that the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua is not as honest as we think. He is selectively honest on things that matter to him and that matter to his tribal politics. If indeed he is honest to the nation, let him tell us about things that matter. For example, how they came up with SHIF, what is the main intention behind SHIF, how are they implementing it? Let him tell us about Adani. Let him tell us what is wrong with the university funding model. Let him tell us about corruption in government, okay? If he has decided to be the opposition within government and they have told him how corrupt he is, why is he not also telling us how corrupt they are? Yet he knows this information. It is because he's selectively honest and completely dishonest. He should do his job as deputy president and leave opposition work to us.
He is the Kenyan politician. You just described it. Let's see when you become a national politician, whether that will be the same case. Morara Kebaso is our guest. We've been having a conversation about international politics and what they started, Kufa, dereva, Kufa, makanga, what it means. In our next hour, we will be talking to the chairman of the Social Health Authority to talk about the rollout of SHIF. It's 8 a.m.